Thank goodness your Tigers are victorious. 24-10. Auburn takes down Kentucky and Lexington, continuing their dominance up there in the Bluegrass State. We're going to talk about it. This is our reaction stream for post-game Auburn and Kentucky. We're going to talk about the score, the stats, and the storylines. All that's coming up right now. War Eagle, everybody, welcome back to another edition of E2C Network Live. Thank you so much for joining us. Whether you're watching live, whether you're on the replay, we appreciate you being here, hanging out with us, spending some time being a part of our little family within the Auburn family. On this edition of E2C Network Live, we have a reaction stream for you. We are going to be breaking down Auburn versus Kentucky 24-10, and I think it is a long time coming for this audience here to be able to celebrate and not have therapy. Yes, after many, many losses in a row, in very low times, the Auburn Tigers have taken down an SEC opponent, getting their first conference win of the year and getting another win that will hopefully give them some eventual hope to playing in a bowl game later in the year. All that's still on the table. We'll talk about that in some degree, but we're here to celebrate. We're here to talk about it. There's been a ton of good in this game, but there's also some things that we necessarily want to kind of break down, hash out, all those different things. We'll get into all of it here. We'd love for you to start the stream off by smashing the like button. This is one of those times where I don't just ask you to smash the like button for us, for the sake of us, not if you're approving of the game or not, but today you are approving of the game because you got the win. So smash that like button. It's a huge help for us. We really appreciate you doing this. And let us know that you're here. We got a lot of people already checking in with us and hanging out with us. So thanks so much for all of you being here, especially those of you that are watching live. I will do some initial thoughts here. We'll say some hellos. Obviously, the first quarter, abysmal. It's like the fourth quarter and the first quarter swap places today, and which is a very, 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 very refreshing thing. I know we were all very irritated, very frustrated with that first quarter. Major mistake by Peyton, major mistakes in terms of giving up sacks and drop passes, the same things that we're talking about. But folks, not that we don't need to discuss those things. This should be a stream where that is not your first response, where we're talking about this amazing performance, not just by the team, considering how they've been going. I'm not saying it was a perfect game, but we're talking about a major performance by Jarquez Hunter. We'll get into that. My boy was cooking. Let him eat. Feed the beast. Feed the beast. Feed the beast. So we're excited here. Let me do two housekeeping things, not housekeeping. First, I always want to do a good job of this win or loss. We want to appreciate Kentucky for a hard-fought game, giving us a scare at the start of it. Obviously, it comes out in our favor, but what I'm impressed by is some of the talent that they have on the team. I want to give a shout-out to Key with an incredible catch, an incredible play that they had there on the sideline. He made several plays throughout the night. Obviously, a team in Kentucky that's needing to find themselves in a different trajectory right now than Auburn is. But big-time SEC win. And obviously, we thank them for hopefully being good hosts to those that traveled in the game. Other housekeeping, I will be the first to tell you here, as I told you on our preview stream, which we do every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern time before a football game, I was wrong. I predicted 21-20 Kentucky wins. I also predicted at the beginning of the year that they would beat us. And here I sit, pleasantly, thankfully, and I'm trying to think of another word. I can't. Just thankful that I was wrong. And so I promised you all that gave me all kinds of crap on the preview stream that would be one of the first things that we did here today. So obviously, I wanted to talk about that first. I would ask you all to start off, and I like to do this for a player of the game. I mean, there is no other. There are great performances to talk about today overall from others, but it's Jarquez Hunter all the way. I mean, is there any other choice for a player of the game? I'll get to some of your comments and questions here. I see some things that I even want to talk about, but let's just start right here at the very top. Jarquez Hunter tonight finally had the game that I think took the lid off of all of the frustrations probably that he's had, that we have all had. This game tonight is what we knew is the some of the highest potential that Jarquez Hunter could do, just letting him eat. 23 carries for 278 yards, 2 touchdowns, a long of 50, averaging, let me give you the average, 12.1 per carry. Absolutely amazing. Not only on top of that, he went over 3,000 career rushing yards. I think that is the correct stat. And just looked utterly dominant at times tonight. And I think it's also important to talk about context too. This is a defense that is supposed to be very good. However, as we saw last game, and even Freeze said, don't pay attention to that. That's an anomaly how they performed is defending the run last game. It clearly can't be just an anomaly now. It's at least some type of a trend that we took advantage of something that seemed like it was a weakness for them. And Jarquez did that 200-fold to almost 300-fold tonight. Also, Alston had a pretty good night as well, 4.2 per carry, getting in there. So really, really good running the game tonight. And there are people just giving him all kinds of accolades. We got Chris saying, Hunter, give him the ball. Jacob says, that reminded me of a Petway game a little. That's not a bad comparison, to be honest. Cameron Petway, I think came onto the scene, didn't impress a lot of people, but then he would just turn up a notch, and he was a bigger back. He probably, I think, a little bit even bigger than Jarquez, and just would steamroll people. And just before the game was over, he'd be pushing 200 yards. So that's not a bad comparison right there, but just an absolutely incredible night for Jarquez Hunter. And I think a guy that's been working his tail off for this team finally got his big night to shine. He's had other games where he shined. We know that we wanted to run the ball more with him. And tonight is one of those nights where we took advantage of it, and he took advantage of it. 23 carries, 278 yards, 2 touchdowns. Game ball to you, Jarquez. Absolutely outstanding. Okay, I've done my spiel to start the show. Let me give you guys some opportunities. I want to give shout outs to everybody who got here early. We got WT, we got Stan, Devin, Bryant, Sailing. This is Dirk Hong, but Sailing Dust. I don't know what that is. Lucas is here. Jared, so many people celebrating tonight. If you got a comment or question that you want to be brought up to the forefront of the show, make sure you could probably want to repost it because we're getting a little bit far in the chat now, and I don't want to bore people by me going and searching back up in there and talk about that a little bit. Corey says, let's not forget half of Kentucky's D is on the shelf right now. And I do think it's important, Corey, for us to remember, even in our celebrations, the context of this. There's a lot of injuries out there for Kentucky, but this was still a defense that was supposed to be formidable, and we should celebrate and be excited about these. But it is important to acknowledge those things that we were also beating up on a team that was suffering in some ways. And it's no excuse whatsoever for the performance that they allowed Jarquez to have. I think it speaks more to Jarquez than it does their injuries tonight, because we've known that this is what he is capable of. War Eagle to you, Kenny. Thanks for checking in with us. Let's see here. Unbeaten Lex says, we're getting close to the point of letting them back in the game. Thankfully, we got the stop, but we got to stop shooting ourselves in the foot, like on the intentional grounding and missed field goal. Absolutely. Obviously not a perfect game tonight. Obviously not a game without some things to be frustrated at, and we don't need to ignore those things either. But I do want to spend as much time as we can talking about the things that were done well, because we spend way too many times in a season like this focusing on things that aren't right. What I like that you pointed out here, Unbeaten Lake, is that we got close to the point of trying to let them back into the game again. We all had the anxiety. Fourth quarter, we're only up by a touchdown. Everybody's a little bit worried. Thankfully, we marched down the field, took care of business, and put some room between us just in case there was going to be another fourth quarter situation. This is a team. This is this is more than just a team. This is a program that is learning how to finish games, how to win games that are in close situations, even if it's against teams that maybe aren't as good at this current time of the season. But you still got to learn how to do that as a unit, as a program, as a individual player. Got a lot of young talent out there too. So the fact that we were able to go down the field, put this thing away, that locker room right there is always excited for a win, but they're even more excited today for the opportunity to just get that monkey off their back of not being able to finish out a game. Let's see here. Okay, I got to first give a shout out to WT. You'll see he has finally changed his logo there to the War Dustbuster t-shirt. He has the only one that will ever live in existence, and now he has made that his profile. So shout out to you. That's a inside joke for people who've been here for a while. So another question. My main question is to ask, why would an Auburn content creator pick Kentucky over Auburn in a game with the SEC's best rusher after what UF did to them last week? As I preached to you guys, I go off of what the coaches are telling me because they have way more information than me. And coach, whether it was coach speak this week, which may have been by the results here, told us time and time again, do not pay attention to that Florida game. That is an anomaly. We cannot guarantee that's going to happen again, that we're going to have that type of success running the ball. Boy, was he wrong, or maybe he knew that he was getting coach speak. So, not making excuses for myself, but I also, let me just be honest with you guys. Obviously, I've made my atonement for picking Kentucky 21-20 as my prediction for this game. I've already admitted that I was wrong with that. Told you all at the very start of it. I am glad that that's now documented history. So anybody that comes here on a whim and tries to say that I'm a Barner and that I don't ever pick against Auburn, it's out there. It's out there. And you guys will be the first ones to let him know it, or let them know it. Total yards, 498. Yeah, let's look at that. Good thing to bring up, Bryant. 498 yards, 172 passing, 326 rushing yards, 278 of those are Jarquez Hunter tonight. Absolutely outstanding. Penalties got a little bit frustrating to start with in the game. Only 6 for 49. I think that's right in the wheelhouse of where we were tonight. So didn't affect us a ton, especially when you're gaining 498 yards for the game. So a couple other stats, 27 first downs to their 13. We were 8 for 14 on third down. Do you guys remember in our preview where we talked about that prediction? What would Auburn be? They are over 50% on third downs. You do that on the road, you're going to have success. Thus, 24-10 victory. And here's the thing. They did not find themselves in any fourth down situations. Kentucky did. They were not able to do so, giving up that pick. We got to talk about this defense tonight, too, because I think we're focusing on Jarquez. We're focusing on the offense. That's rightfully so. We're going to get there. And there's a couple of people I think we should give some shout outs tonight in this game on the defense side of things, but we're working our way through some of these stats. Ran 76 total plays, average yards per play, because these are some of the stats that have been very good for Auburn. The results just haven't been there. 6.6 per play. First down every 2 plays. Average yards per completion, 8.6. Average yards per rush across everybody, even those that didn't have great run yardage tonight, 6.5. 6.5. Absolutely outstanding. Red zone efficiency, 3 for 6. Not great. It's not, that will lose you some games, but tonight when you had a team that was definitely down a little bit like them, we were able to take over. Only 1 turnover to their 2. No fumbles lost, the 1 interception, only 3 sacks tonight. It did start off rough for us, though, and 5 tackles for loss. That I think this is defensive yards, I guess. I'm not sure how to read that. Anyway, you get the point. The stats are very good tonight. Very, 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 very good. Justin says, much needed win, but we still have a long month ahead of us. Obviously, do not want to lose sight of that. But, folks, enjoy this. Celebrate it. You really need this one. It's very important to do so. Defense played well, Chris says. Falk had a great game. He did. Let me catch back up in some chat here, and then we'll go to some defensive stuff here tonight. And checking in from North Carolina. Good to see you. Good to catch you here live. Let's see here. Silas says, I know we have an amazing wide receiver room, but you have to remember they're young. This is what I want to see, is rely on what can win you football games, and that is running the football. And I do agree with you a little bit here, Silas, but I think it's very important to talk about context here. This is a game where there was a team that seemed like it was going to be susceptible based on the last game, whether coach wanted us to believe that or not, against running the game. And they are having some injuries. That is important context here, but we still took advantage of it. It's not that easy when people said last week, just run the ball to work well. We did, and it didn't work as well. So I think it's important to say you don't necessarily know that just running the ball more is going to fix things, because last week proved that not true. But if you can give talented people like Jarquez, and think about this too. Let's look at Jarquez in the passing game. 4 catches for 19 yards, and a bunch of those, at least 2 of those, were in very important third down situations. So just give them the ball. Get the ball in the players' hands that do very well. How was our defense on third downs today, Kyle? I feel like it was better than usual. So their third downs were 4 for 12. So they were 33% on third downs tonight. Great question, Devin, to give a little bit of a shout out to the defense. How about the punch in the mouth goal line stand, folks? Let's dive into the defense. We'll come back to some of those things if you're just getting here that I know that most of y'all are interested in talking about. But let's dive into the defense. Corey brings up a great point tonight. How about that punch in the mouth defense? This is a defense that has seen time and time and time again a lead not just being given up by them, but the offense not doing their part. And you could probably sense that amongst the fans. Obviously, I felt it, and also worrying, oh, is this going to start that downhill roll again? And they let them go down the field. But instead of bending and just giving up that touchdown, this defense said, no, we're not going to do this tonight. We're not only going to stop you on third down, we're going to pick this thing off at the goal line. Nearly, if he had a little bit more room, ran it back for a pick 6. So just a great performance. If you just want to like quantify the defense tonight, I think that is probably the best way to do so tonight. So just to talk about it a little bit, your leading tackler tonight, for those of you that were on the preview show, I told you, I don't know, I think I predicted him actually. Dorian Mausi, 10 total tackles. 6 of them are solo, 2 tackles for loss, and 1 forced fumble that didn't really initially look like a forced fumble because they got it back so quickly, but he did. Monster game for Dorian Mausi. Put some respect on this man's name. Jaron Thompson with 4 tackles, Sylvester Smith with 4. And then after that, there's a few more with 3, a few more with 2, and then several with 1 throughout that. 42 total tackles tonight for a plethora of people. You have 2 sacks from Keldrick Falk, 1 from Quintrell Jamison Travis. So many people get in the backfield just wrecking havoc with 2 quarterbacks tonight. A traditional one and more of a running kind of option. You can do a lot of different things type of quarterback. They deserve a lot of credit tonight. This defense did outstanding work. Kayan Lee with his pick tonight. Let me go back to that. Interceptions tonight. Jalen Crawford, or Jay Crawford as he's more known now. How about that kid? Nearly had another one last week, or if his first one. Tonight, he just goes up and gets one that was a very poorly thrown ball, but still, you got to go make the play. Great for him. And then you also had the Kayan Lee one, which we talked about right there. And that's a guy that's also been close too. So young players making big time plays on big SEC stages in an SEC environment for an SEC win is incredible. Absolutely incredible. Lots more people checking in. If you guys are brand new here, whether you watch on YouTube or Facebook, be sure to follow, subscribe, all that good stuff. Their D-line was looking tired. It was looking tired. We wore them out tonight. All right, let me skip ahead a little bit. We need the defense to play just like this next week, Pavia. Yeah, we'll think. I know you guys are already ready to move ahead. We're not moving ahead just yet. Let's just talk. We'll focus on this tonight. But yes, that we do need them to continue to do that against players that might play next week. Asante says, WT says Asante was a beast tonight. He wasn't a tackle for loss. Then if he wasn't tackling for loss, then he was creating something for others to tackle. Let's look at Eugene tonight. 3 total tackles. Quarterback Curry, there are his official stats tonight, but he did seem like he was blowing up plays left and right. We got a little super chat from Bubba and the Old Man. Thank you so much. $1.99. Appreciate that. Helping keep the lights on here at E2C Network. You guys can take advantage of that too if you'd like, just like Bubba did, and hitting that super chat or whatever it's called button, or you can become a monthly subscriber if you're interested in that too. But thank you for the support, Bubba and the Old Man. There was something else I wanted to bring, some other units. Yes, Justin, let's talk about this. O-line had a great second half and a decent first half. I would say decent's probably a fair assessment. I'm very, very frustrated. This is probably the other than the interception, the worst moment tonight was the way we ended the second half. I know there's a lot of opinions about there. I don't subscribe to the opinion that that was uh, a um, a bad coaching decision necessarily holistically or a bad decision by Peyton. That was just a whiff by our offensive lineman. I mean, the guy literally just did one step and walked around him and then was in Peyton's face. Now, you would hope that Peyton can get that ball off, but if he doesn't throw it in the right spot, it gets picked off and run back, and we're in the same situation that we've been in previous games. So to me, that's probably the biggest negative to me tonight. And we had 14 men on the field and tried to kick that field goal. Did y'all realize that? That was pretty bad. But outside of that, let me go back to the positive side of this. Yes, you do not run for 278 yards, Jarquez alone, and not have a good night from your offensive line. I would imagine, knowing what I think I know about Jarquez as a player and a teammate, he went to each one of those guys and said, thank you for giving me the opportunity to do what I did individually tonight for the team, because without them, there was, no opportunity to. This is by far their best performance in terms of rushing the ball. Now, in terms of sacks, we had. Now, I'm trying to make sure I read this correctly because it's a little bit confusing. I think this is how many sacks they had tonight. Let me go and this will answer the question for me real quick because I want to look at this. Auburn had a total of 3 sacks tonight listed on the defensive stats, which means on this side that would be correct. So they had 4 sacks tonight for 25 yards. So that's not great for the offensive line, but as you said, had a much better game in the second half. And how much easier it is when you've got a offense that's running well. You can get things going a little bit better all the way around. Good to have so many newcomers getting their touches. We need the experience come next season rather than go ahead and get the mistakes out of the way this season than next. And isn't it great to not only have that line of thinking, but to see some of them flourishing? Kay and Lee tonight. I know he's been playing significant minutes for us since last year, but he's still young. Keldrick Falk, same thing. Tonight, Jay Crawford, DeMarcus Riddick, I think had he had a few moments where he showed up tonight, I believe. That's another name as well. We talked about Kinsley Lindor-Falston last week. Last week. So there's other names just like that. Jacob says the young corners had some penalties and allowed some big catches, but they show improvement every week. They don't get burnt. Key and Brown aren't chumps. Great thing to bring up right there. Look, they are young. They will make mistakes, but they are talented, and that shows. And even look, Corey's just winning tonight. Let's talk about this. I made this statement on Twitter from our official account tonight, and I hope it rang true. I know sometimes in the context of what was happening in the game, this Alex McPherson comes in tonight, gets an extra point off, first one this year. Obviously, we know the struggles that Towns has had. He still gets to do some kickoffs tonight. That's great, I think. But getting Alex back in there, he does look like he has lost a lot of weight, and he was already a small guy. Getting that monkey off your back, getting out there on the field is one thing, getting an extra point. You go out there, you have a tough situation where there's an intentional ground penalty, which I thought was weird at the time, but I kind of understand it now. That's a weird situation. I'd understand someone making that mistake too, but it's still unfortunate because it pushes you back further. But how great is it? Because even though, let me not say great, but here's if you want me to put silver lining on him missing that field goal. I know he's no longer perfect. I have been touting that, screaming that. I was telling people don't talk about it in the living room with me tonight. But we talked about sometimes, that those things, those no-hitters become a pressure builder. Think about that coupled with what he's trying to do. Get back out in the field. Feel comfortable. We've been heard from Hugh about, they're only comfortable letting him kick from this far away because of his health reasons. Well, he goes out there and drills a very good distance from 47. And you got to think, even with that miss, that's got to take some pressure off of him to know, okay, in legitimate, good competition tonight, I was able to put the leg behind the ball fluidly and almost make it, come within inches of making it. Also, the monkey of not missing one and staying perfect is now off your back for the rest of the time that you're trying to get things going again. So to me, I think this was I would venture to say a blessing in disguise, because that monkey is off his back in two different ways. Am I strong enough? Will I be able to stay perfect while I'm trying to get back to full strength? That is done. That is over. We know he's a great kicker. Just plain and simple. How good is it to have him back out there? I really am excited to see him back out there after all that he's been through. Okay. WT even said Alex did not look well tonight. He was shocking to hear that he fell below 100. I was not aware of that. Like, that was how bad it got. But obviously some more information is coming about that tonight. He's so emaciated. He looks like an elementary school kid playing college ball with adults. Let me put some funniness on this. I've said this before on here. I will never forget being at, I believe it was the open practice in the fall that Harson had. Could have been A-Day. I can't remember. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's the first time McPherson trots out there. I'm seeing all the players come running out for warm-ups. And I see this little guy running out. Like, who's the 2-year-old? it's Alex McPherson. He was already a tiny guy. He was already small. And boy, has he lost some weight. So I feel for him. I'm happy to see him back out there. Poor Andy Burcham. His voice totally went out for the last 10 minutes of the game. He was struggling, but he pushed through. Well, he hasn't had a lot to scream about in good ways, and I'm sure he was very happy with that tonight. All right, we've caught up in chat. We're not done quite yet. Post some more comments and questions. You guys already got a couple more coming in. We'll catch those here on the back end of the show. Let me do a couple things for you to remind you what's coming up. The good vibes are going into this week, folks. You can't get me down, or most of us down. Some of you probably will, because you're just miserable people sometimes, but probably no one here tonight watching live. Reminders for you what's coming up the rest of this week. Tomorrow night, folks, 9 p.m. Eastern time. Do not miss this show. Episode 99 of the Auburn Experience podcast. Austin and I are back together. We will celebrate this victories a little bit more, talk about the storylines from it. We will also probably do our predictions for Auburn basketball this season, because next week will be our episode 100. I wish we were prepared to give you some announcents about that. We are not. It has less to do with us than other things that are out of our control. We are doing our best to make that a special episode, but 9 p.m. Eastern time, Sunday. Be there, be square. Don't forget Auburn Family Night, Wednesday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern time. That's going to be great. If you want to help support us, another way to do so, other than all the description links that are there, if you go to that link in our description on YouTube and go shop with Alumni Hall through our link and buy something, it'll support them and support us. So thank you for doing that, for those of you that are able to do so as an affiliate of theirs. Okay, what else? Final comments, questions, storylines. We're sitting right at about 30 minutes. We have talked about a lot. We have celebrated a lot. What else have we not talked about that we need to discuss tonight? Is there anybody that we need to give a shout out to tonight that hasn't gotten their shout out? I'm going to throw one out there, folks. And I know a lot of you don't really want me to talk about it, probably because you don't want me to give any credit to the kid. But we need to give credit to Peyton Thorne. He threw a great ball in the end zone to Keandre Lambert-Smith. How nice is it to see him continuing to be a pretty good option for us? And when I mean pretty good, I mean really good. That was a great ball that he threw. Only he could go up and make the play for it. So I want to give a little bit of a shout out to him tonight. That's another player. If you're curious, got the ball to 8 total people tonight. Lambert-Smith, Coleman, Hunter, Simmons, Fairweather, Alston, Camden Brown, and Robert Lewis. And Robert Lewis tonight had like 20-something games straight with a reception. So that's pretty incredible too for him that's been going on for that long. Jacob said one of those extra points had a rough hold and he still managed to get that in. So think about what all he went through tonight. just the fear of going back out there after what you've been through health-wise, but just the not I don't wanna say fear, but the newness of going back out there, first of all, the newness of going back out there after what you've been through, holding that weight of being perfect at field goal, and you have a shaky hold or a shaky snap or whatever it was on the extra point, and you still knock it through. So he went through the gauntlet tonight in terms of mental things or mental challenges as a kicker. Folks, those are real. I'm a former kicker tonight, so that's a great thing to bring up, Jake. Excuse me. WT says it's so refreshing to be in an E2C post-game show without all the AU boo birds. And I will talk about this for a second. I do think it's important for us always to have well-rounded discussions here, and I think it's important for us to be able to talk about the negatives. But I think it is a good sign of who you should be spending your time with and who you should be spending letting speak into things that you're interested in by how they react in adversity. A lot of people have revealed a lot of their character very poorly to me this year, and I've made some choices to probably shift less away from seeking them out for information and following and stuff like that. Um, and some of our audience here have chosen to behave so poorly that we've gotten rid of them because that's how bad they are. They were negative for the sake of being negative. Like, you made your point, move along. Anyway, it is refreshing to be here and to have something to celebrate because some of them were revved up for the end of the night. All right, let's move on. Jacob says, how about Cam Coleman and his blocking? Saw him engaged really well in some blocks, making up from that play against Georgia. I think that people gave him heck for. And Coach talked about this too. Coach talked about him needing to improve in his intermediate routes. He is a deep threat. He is a physical specimen. We know that he's going to be able to do those type of things. This is where his game needs to continue to improve. And I think that's a good thing tonight. I'll be honest, I don't remember off the top of my head the moment that you're talking about. I mean, vaguely, maybe I do, but I think this is a great call out, Jacob. A great call out for Cam Coleman tonight. 4 catches for 24 yards. None of them were super exciting or spectacular, but he made the plays that were sent his way and was able to, make something happen with them. Yards after catch, -1. Okay, now I understand where that was going from. I thought he was telling us something different. WT wants me to remind y'all, I picked us to lose. And somebody said that they called it earlier, the exact score. Does anybody remember who that is? Are you still here watching live? I want to give you a shout out again. I don't want to have to go all the way back through because that'll be boring. But I want to give you a shout out if you got the correct score on our preview show. Join us for that on Thursday night, folks. It's usually a good time. Devin says, I'm just so happy with his team. They deserve this and they need it. I think we all need it, but very, very, very well earned and deserved for them. Celebration at the end of the game was hilarious. I missed it because I usually, just listen to the end of it as I'm setting up so I could go live right on time for you guys tonight. All right. Was it Dirk Kong or Sailing Dust? I thought it was him, but I wasn't sure. Don't know if he's still here, but congrats to him. 24-10 is the final score tonight. Stand very close with 27-10. And it should have been. So he was close. Good point outs there. Corey says, how about the blocking of that Hunter gave Simmons tonight? Great call out as well. Great call out because this is a guy that is having an incredible night. I'd have to go look back, but I think this is his best night of his career as an Auburn Tiger. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like this has got to be up there if it's not officially his best year as an Auburn or best game as an Auburn Tiger. And then when you're having that you do the little things right. How about the blocking of Hunter that he gave Simmons tonight, and still utilizing guys like Simmons too, just overall in the offense. So good call out. Team win is a great way to look at it. The backflip by Hunter at the end of the game. Can you just imagine the weight that lifted off of all these guys tonight? Just imagine that. Isn't it incredible? I mean, the weight that's lifted off us as Auburn fans tonight. For those of you, I know it's easy for us to point to these things and say things aren't as bad as they look. Things are getting better. And you say that, but then the feelings and the emotions of it are still there. But this, I think, is that tangible thing that we all needed to see, not just because of the result, but because of the way it was done. We got a lead. We had a little adversity and we still locked it down and took care of it. So this is a sign, and you might even be able to say this is a game that is the epitome of two different programs and where they're heading at this point of the season. Auburn is heading in I'm not saying extremely positive, but a positive direction. Kentucky is heading in a negative direction. And that, my friends, is a good thing for us. It is odd that so many of us saw the Auburn football team coming together to beat an SEC team on the road, and oddly, the host did not see this. It just boggles the mind. Are you just going to rip me the entire night, WT? I told you I'm happy to have been wrong, and I hope that I will be wrong the rest of the season if I ever pick against them again, because there are some games where it might be wise to, but this is a good sign in the right direction. Freeze will look 5 years younger at the Monday presser. You want to talk about somebody with pressure off his back? That's Hugh Freeze this week. Boy, the narrative was there. Being sick before the game. I know probably some people heard that it said he flew in with the AD, and some people probably already made their jokes. Well, was that really about him being sick or them having conversations about his job, all that kind of stuff? I'm sure they discussed important things about the program on their flight over. But I'm sure Hugh Freeze is feeling a lot better in many ways, health-wise, security, all of that tonight. It's a good week for Hugh Freeze, hopefully, and hopefully that health is all the way back here too. Corey says this year's a foundation. Next year we start on the framing. Ooh, I like that. I like that analogy. That's pretty nice. Stan just wants me to pick us to lose the rest of the way. Stan, if I truly believed that I would be the difference in that way, I would do it for you, but I don't know that I have that much power. I thank you for giving me that amount of power, but I promise you, I don't think it's a reality thing. But if we find out there's some correlation there, you got it, buddy. Bryant says, I can't remember a time when we lost to Kentucky. I can't either. Obviously, we won the game during the COVID year. We will go back to the one with Sean White. We won that one, and that was quite a game. It was also quite a game in 2010 that I was there for that. It was nice to watch this game at night. It kind of reminded me a lot of the game I got to attend when I went to Lexington for the championship year, because it was similar time, even though I wasn't there, you can kind of just feel like yourself was there. But yeah, so a lot of nostalgia. It's been a while, folks. Kentucky does not have a lot of success against Auburn, and that has continued on and on. Don't let Austin go to any more games. Well, again, I don't think he has that much power either as well. Coincidence? I think not. All right, folks, we have had a good stream. It is nice, as many of you said, to not have to deal with so many shenanigans and so many crazy things that sometimes people just want to get on here and show their butts about. It has been a fun stream with you all, and I enjoy this. Hopefully, we're talking about many, many more. Remember, lots of content the rest of the week. Sunday night, tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern time. Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern time. We will be on campus this weekend for not just finally a return to the loveliest village on the plains for all kinds of coverage. We'll be at a basketball game. There'll be celebrities in town that we're hopefully going to get to hang out with a little bit from across the pond. Episode 100 will be filmed somewhere in Auburn. Hope you guys are excited. And folks, it is good always to be an Auburn Tiger. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us and being part of our little family within the Auburn family. So I'll talk to you again. War Eagle.